Thank you very much, Laskia and Corla, and I want to thank Deputy Cleary and Deputy Kelleher for tabling this motion this evening on what is a very serious issue, and indeed it's one that I take very serious, and I wish to take this opportunity to set out the position in relation to it. This issue before us highlights the challenges that the HSE and indeed all public bodies face in the procurement of services from private contractors, but also the importance of investing in both probity and control functions to protect the taxpayer and service users. And I want to echo the comments of Deputy Cleary and Deputy Kelleher in terms of the work of community pharmacies and note where their motion is directed tonight. And in fact, I also would agree with Deputy Kelleher in terms of the expansion of a role for our community pharmacists. I think that's something very much worth exploring. I think the issues that have been outlined by Deputy Cleary and Deputy Kelleher are deplorable and unacceptable, and I think that's something that all of us on all sides of this House would agree with. And I suppose the question before us is, what are we going to do to make sure that we get to the bottom of this, but also to make sure that we lessen the chance of this ever happening again. And I would start out by making the point, while deputies are absolutely right to challenge and question the systems in place within the HSE, that is our job in this House, that is my job as Minister for Health. We must ensure that monies are spent appropriately, and I will address these issues this evening. But we must also be cognizant of the obligation on private contractors to comply with the terms of their contracts with the state, and clearly that didn't happen in this case. The HSE's Primary Care Reimbursement Service, PCRS, pays primary care contractors, including GPs, dentists and pharmacies, for goods and services supplied to eligible public patients under community health schemes such as the medical card, long-term illness, high-tech and drug payment schemes. This is clearly an enormous undertaking. There are around 7,700 contracts with annual payments of more than €2.5 billion. In the drug schemes alone, pharmacies make claims and are reimbursed for over 74 million separate items every year, almost 1.5 million items every week. Pharmacists are reimbursed for medicines dispensed to patients in previous months, with a mix of electronic and paper claiming. In 2015, the PCRS reimbursed €1.9 billion in the community drug schemes to cover the costs of medicines and pharmacy fees. This included €1.38 billion in drug costs, including €116 million in wholesale markups and €390 million in pharmacy fees. So that is to set the scale of the operation here. This colossal level of activity is delivered to a very high level by a single agency. I've been to visit the PCRS, to meet with them, and I have seen at first hand the hard work, dedication and enthusiasm indeed of the staff who deliver this volume of work month in and month out on behalf of Irish patients. The matter raised this evening involves a commercial contractor claiming fees for phase dispensing to medical card patients in community pharmacies. Phase dispensing, as deputies will be aware, was established in 1996 for patient safety reasons under the new pharmacy contract. It is a clinical process to help certain patients to manage their medicines. It may be specified by their doctor, they may be starting a new medicine regime or using medicines that are unsuitable for monthly dispensing, or in exceptional circumstances may be unable to safely manage their medicines. That is what the scheme is meant to be used for, nothing else. A key part of the process is that the medicines are dispensed at regular intervals, say once a week, so that both the patient and the medicines are monitored. Where phase dispensing is appropriate, pharmacies are paid per dispensing for their professional services. While the Government is not opposing this motion this evening because of the seriousness of this issue, a number of points do need to be appreciated. These concern the instigation, the operation and the success indeed of the PCRS investigation in this case. I have been briefed in detail by the HSE about this matter. I understand that a HSE data review of phase dispensing in 2014 raised concerns about activity and claiming levels. In early 2015, based on this analysis, the HSE began investigating claiming by the Lloyds Pharmacy Group. The investigation involved complex analysis of activity for the period from 2010 to 2015 and detailed pharmacy inspections. Such a forensic approach is the only concrete way to establish misclaiming under current systems. It was, of course, supported, and I want to acknowledge, by information provided in confidence later in 2015 from former employees and from media sources, and I want to acknowledge the role both played. I am further informed that the investigation was completed in August 2015 and disciplinary proceedings were being prepared against individual pharmacies within the group under Clause 15 of the pharmacy contract. This process can lead to a termination of a contract. Following protracted negotiations, Lloyds agreed to a settlement that included full repayment, as asked by the deputies, of overclaimed fees. The PCRS continues to monitor phase claiming by the Lloyds Group, with further payments suspended until compliance with phase dispensing rules is fully established. The HSE considers that this was the best possible outcome in this case, with the full return of monies owed to the Irish taxpayer. The PCRS is also examining other claiming issues and is conducting investigations into claiming by a number of other contractors. The HSE has advised that during the Lloyds investigation it sought advice from the Garda Bureau of Fraud Investigation and from the Pharmaceutical Society of Ireland, which regulates pharmacists and pharmacies in Ireland. The HSE will make any appropriate referrals required concerning investigations, so that may well still happen. The Lloyds fees investigation was a successful operation set in motion by a HSE PCRS audit of business activity, and one that reached a positive conclusion: the full return of all monies owed to the taxpayer. I agree fully with the deputies that this was a most serious matter. However, irregularities were detected by and the investigation initiated on foot of the HSE's own reviews, though was helpfully supplemented by both media reports and by a whistleblower. In all payment structures, there must be a significant element of trust between contractor and payer. A well-functioning probity and control function underlines this and protects the taxpayer, patients and, importantly, legitimate operators who make up the large majority of contractors. In a health setting, it also helps ensure that resources go to the people who need them and that maximum value for money is achieved. The purpose of the PCRS audit and probity role is to ensure that payments are claimed for services provided. Reviews like these, in particular pharmacy inspections, are detailed, forensic and time and resource intensive. Following analysis and restructuring, the PCRS audit function has been and continues to be strengthened with the development of dedicated resources. And I think this is a message to the House that we need to do more in this area. This is why we are beefing up this audit function within PCRS. This objective has been pursued as a matter of urgency and includes the appointment of a head of schemes control, supported by specialist staff, a control steering group and a probity and governance group. I am pleased to inform the House that the PCRS has this year appointed 4 full-time pharmacy inspectors, 2 data analysts and 2 dedicated case managers. A 3rd data analyst and 2 more case managers are being recruited. And this will clearly strengthen the ability of the PCRS to carry out investigations, to follow the audit trail and indeed to improve their audit function further. The PCRS probity and control function is also developing a work programme with specific measures for community pharmacy, dental, optical and general practice to ensure that all claims comply with relevant schemes. I would also like to note that the PCRS probity programme is on target to recover some €20 million this year as a result of their operations. I am confident that this increased level of activity will set the tone for proper engagement by contractors in providing services to our patients. The House will note the proposed amendment to the Fianna Fáil motion on 2 other issues by Deputy Louise O'Reilly, reclassifying medicines to over-the-counter and transparency in pharmacy prices and services. Whilst I am in a position to accept the Fianna Fáil motion before the House, I am not in a position to accept the proposed amendment. These issues are the responsibility of the relevant statutory authorities, the Health Products Regulatory Authority, the HPRA, for medicine classification, and the Pharmaceutical Society of Ireland, the PSI, for professional practice and conduct. In general, a medicine supplier applies for a change in status for its product. I understand, though, that the HPRA actively seeks applications from suppliers and gives ongoing consideration to the issues surrounding this matter in both Ireland and elsewhere. The PSI deals with patient queries on pharmacy medicine pricing. Patients are entitled to ask for a breakdown of their medicine costs, and the person in charge of the pharmacy should provide the information. The PSI has advised pharmacists that this should include an itemised receipt, and I want to put that on the record of this House. While I do accept the principles involved in the amendment, I do need to oppose the amendment on this occasion on the basis that the issues are, as I've outlined, matters for the relevant statutory authorities, and I do not propose to intervene in their roles at this stage. So I want to thank the deputies for putting down this motion. I look forward to this debate. I think it raises very serious and important issues in relation to how we expend taxpayers' money and how we make sure that resources that this House votes to expend on health services for our citizens get to the citizens and aren't in any way misused or indeed fraudulently obtained. I am pleased with the outcome of the HSE PCRS audit, which has recovered every single cent of money that was owed in terms of claims wrongly made in the case of Lloyds Pharmacy. And I do look forward to the beefed up audit function within the PCRS with the additional staff that I've outlined to the House.
Thank you, Minister. And I call on Deputy